So now I want to talk about psychology. This video is it's going to be about psychology and the way I do therapy. I want to talk about that, the way I do therapy. Um, so mostly I try to focus on people that are trying to find meaning in their life and why the world is the way it is and why they're doing the things they do and where to go on. I mean, in which direction they should take based on where they are. So usually people that come to me are very young, teenagers, young adults, maybe adults in their 30s, people who are older, 40, 50 years old. They usually don't have this kind of questioning. At least it's not as common as with younger people. And of course, I take other people too, but usually that's the kind of people that come to me. That's the kind of people that stay for a long time also. And that I see they progress a lot with me. And I think the advantage I have in that area, the particular kind of problem, is that I am very sure of how the world works. And so I don't feel threatened by how they think. And so people who have seen my previous videos, they might think, well, you know, Husnuddin is very opinionated. He has a very, uh, strong opinion on how things are. He's also religious, so maybe he's. They might think something like that. But I don't try. I try not to put my ideas into therapy. Obviously, I do, of course, but I try not to. I try to be as less talkative I can. I try not to talk. Usually I don't unless it's trying to like understand the person, trying to see if the person, I mean, if I understand what the person is trying to say, if I understand what the person is feeling. And also little comments to let them know I am following what you're saying and I get it profoundly, right? Because of course, someone could be. I mean, I could be talking to someone, and they could be like yes, but yes doesn't mean that they understood what I just said. They just said yes. It's very easy. You just wait for the person to finish their statement, and then you say yes, I agree, and that's it. Or yes, interesting. Doesn't matter what they said. You can just say that, and so I say something more so they know I'm actually listening and actually thinking beyond just the words they're telling me and making connections and saying, now I understand. This feels something like this, right? Or you sound like you feel, you think that this is not a very good thing or something like that. And usually they're like, yes, yes. Sometimes they don't agree, but we usually find it still helps them to find a better way to put into words what they are thinking or feeling. And that is also like this is an approach. I didn't make this approach up. It's mainly developed by Carl Rogers, and I love his work. I love his technique. I think it's the way to go. And um, it's also like the way why I think about that it works. It's also based on my belief system, right? And so Carl Rogers has a very interesting thought. He says that people are not like static things. They are people that they're like created with their environment. He thinks something like that. And then Eugene Gendlin, who is another psychotherapist, who is also a philosopher, who worked very close to him, he says that people are not content, but people are interaction. They are like, they are interaction. They're not the thing they are, but they are the thing with other things. He states that therapy works because people who are talking, people who are feeling, people who are remembering past traumas or thinking about their problems or thinking about the things they want to do, the way they do it, the way they feel about those things, the way they are, it's not the same when they're doing it with therapists. It changes the person they are because of the therapist. Like I as a therapist, Gendlin said, I as a therapist try to be the kind of interaction that will let you grow, will let you heal, will let you know which way to go. And so when I explain this to people, friends, relatives, people who are curious about what I do, they usually are, I understand. So you're like, hmm, you're like, so you make like, you say things and make questions so the person arrives to where you want them to be, but on their own. That's always, I mean, not always, but many times that's what they tell me, and it's like these people are not listening. They just want to under, listen to what they know, or maybe they're listening, but it's very hard for them to get out of a certain thinking. And no, I'm not trying to direct the person. And I give you an example. Story time again, another story. Let's say, for example, I'm a religious person. I talk about this in every in all my videos. I'm a Muslim. Okay, I want to hide it. I'm a Muslim, and let's say, for example, a young man, a young boy, maybe 16 years old or 20 years old, something like that. Someone who is not still not in the real world. No, they're still in school. He comes to my, let's say he comes to my he takes me as a therapist, and he starts saying that like life is meaningless, that he doesn't know what he's supposed to do, that how is, why does anything make sense if he's going to die anyway, why certain things happen to him and other things didn't happen to him. Many of these, a lot of similar things like this. And then I think, well, this person is like, he has no ulterior meaning in life. He thinks everything is just nonsense. And when I start poking around the theme, around the problems he has, and this notion of nothingness, they're always atheists or something like that. Let's say this kid doesn't believe in God and doesn't believe in nothing. Okay, it's just everything's just randomness and everything's just random. Okay, and so I think to myself, and it's inevitable. I think, wow, if he believed in God, or if he had any religion, many of these problems would probably disappear or be way milder, like way more mild than they are right now. And that thought might come to my head. And then what people think is that, well, what I will do is that I would start asking them questions, talking to them about certain things so they realize that they have to follow a certain religion or something like that. And I don't do that. I try not to do it. I just try to listen to them and feel what they feel. I mean, not feel what they feel, but understand what they feel and let them feel it more. so they can really connect with that feeling. And then they will know what to do. And maybe it's, looking for a religion or asking yourself harder, what is the point of life? Is there a God or not? If there is a God, what God is it? Is there any religion right, or are all of them wrong? Etc., etc., etc. Maybe it's another thing he'll start doing. And Carl Rogers said about this that you can trust the person with this. When you create a certain setting and a certain space and certain relationship with the person, with the client, then they can be left alone in terms of that, not alone like you don't see them anymore, you're still going to see them. Alone in terms of that you're not telling them what to do. You're not deciding for them what's best for them. Just let them ask themselves, well, what should I do? And then they will know, and they will have a way better answer than anything you could have given to them. And so this is sustained also in my belief, I said before. And why? Because in Islam, but in Christianity too, there's the belief that Allah is very close to us. God is close to us. God is communicating with us. God is in a certain way, it's not literally, but inside us, in our heart. Like in Islam, they always talk about the heart. And they talk how, like, when we stray away from God, when we do bad things, our heart starts getting hard, like a stone, they say. But when we do good things, when we repent, when we go back to God, the heart softens and it becomes soft. So, what is a soft thing to me? How do I understand this thing? Because this is I don't know if this is in the Quran directly or if it's a saying by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but this is like canon Islam. It's not, some sage from the Middle Ages thought about this. No, this is canon. Like, this is true. This is actually true. And of course it's metaphorical, because it's not like your arteries are gonna become more stiff or something. Maybe it might be that too, but I think about it metaphorically. And so what do I think about it? I think it's related to, like, the heart feels, right? And a bland heart, a soft heart, can feel more, but also adapt better. Like, if you touch something that is soft, it will deform a little bit, so it will change, but it will also feel. While if you touch something that is more hard, like a rock, like a stone, it will not change, and it will not feel. And so I think people have to listen to their heart. There's the answer to what they need to do now. I mean, let's go back to this hypothetical client that doesn't believe in God and has a very dreadful existence. Maybe I'm right. Maybe it would be very helpful for them to find a religious system, a belief. But maybe it's not what they need now. Maybe they need something else before. Maybe they will go into that journey, but not now. Maybe they will go into it in 6 months, in 2 years, in 5 years. It took me like 13 years to go back to religion. Myself. It took me 13 years, but I came back. There's a time for everyone and everything. And so as a therapist, I try to stay away from forcing stuff from putting too much of myself in the relationship. And that's it. That's all I had to say.